Hi everyone, I'm Danny the Traveler here with Rocky the Traveler, of course, and welcome to another episode of the Rocky Roadshow. This time, we're going to tell you a bit about a few places that you can't miss in Dorset and the Jurassic Coast, UK. Now, when I hear the name Jurassic Coast, take a good guess as to what pops into my head. A big T-Rex. Why? I don't know, maybe it has something to do with Jurassic Park. Anyway, I can assure you there's no T-Rexes in the Jurassic Coast, but there still are some very cool things. Now, the Jurassic Coast is it's a stretch of coastline that runs, if you're starting from the west, it starts in Exmouth, England, and officially goes all the way to Old Harry's Rocks near Bournemouth, England, and that's the east side of Jurassic Coast. In total, it's about 95 miles of coastline. The Jurassic Coast is also a UNESCO World Heritage Site. UNESCO says that walking along the Jurassic Coast is like walking through time, as you go through layers of sedimentary rock along the coast, and these rocks have recorded Earth across 185 million years, and they form a nearly complete record of the Triassic, Jurassic, and Cretaceous periods. I think it's very interesting. So maybe there were dinosaurs that roamed around the Jurassic Coast many years ago. Now, what's that got to do with me and Rocky? Well, it just so happens that me and Rocky have explored a small chunk of the Jurassic Coast, specifically some of the Dorset parts. Yes, Rocky has left his mark all over Dorset, just like the dinosaurs did millions of years ago. Now, flashback to a few years ago when we lived in Bournemouth, which is, if you don't know, Bournemouth is a small seaside town within the county of Dorset. I went to go study there, though mostly I was at the pubs with Rocky. I still graduated though, so it's okay. Now, Bournemouth is a prime place to start exploring the Jurassic Coast. You can see Old Harry's Rocks from the seafront, and it looks like you're looking at three massive rock-like heads floating atop the ocean. That's what Old Harry's Rocks is. And that's because Bournemouth is it's just a few miles north of Old Harry's Rocks, so it's a great place to get started on a journey to explore the Jurassic Coast. Now, if you're starting from Bournemouth, like me and Rocky did, and you want to explore a bit around before you head east to Harry's Rocks, I recommend checking out the Boscombe Pier in Bournemouth. Although if you ever visit Bournemouth, the locals will tell you to avoid Boscombe, as it has, let's just say, some unsavory parts. But the Boscombe Pier is just fine. They built an artificial surf reef there, and you could do things like paddleboarding. You could go for a swim. Just you can't actually do any surfing because it turns out the reef didn't work out the way they wanted it to, and there's hardly any good surfing waves there. Anyway, just a bit further up, you got Hengistbury Head, which includes a beach and a beautiful nature reserve. And if you're into hiking with your dogs, then you will really love this place. It's actually a headland about 30 meters high, and it's really quiet, and it's filled with some stunning trails. Me and Rocky climbed all the way up to the top, and we took a photo at the very peak, and from above you can see the lovely coast stretching all the way to Harry's Rocks. Just a bit further up, you got Mudderford Quay, and then even further up, you've got the town of Christchurch. Christchurch is definitely worth a visit if you're ever in that area. The town also has its own beach, and it's quite famous for its castles as well. Now, let's make our way back east toward the Jurassic Coast. We're still in Dorset County. Me and Rocky went with an old friend to Old Harry's Rocks to film a little student project, which was quite fun. And to reach up to the end, so you can take a look at the cliff, so you can take a look at Old Harry's Rocks. You've got to hike up for a bit. And also, it's really important that your dog is on a leash, or a lead in England if you speak UK English. There's an urban legend that says many dogs without leashes would run around, and they weren't able to see the very end of the cliffs, so they would accidentally plunge themselves to the rocks below without realizing it, and it's quite scary and quite tragic. So from atop Harry's Rocks, you can wave to your friends over in Bournemouth. There's some pretty spectacular views up there. Moving on from Harry's Rocks, our adventure in exploring Dorset continued on with a few trips over to Corfe Castle and Swanage, which is one of the starting points of the Jurassic Coast. Swanage is a bit of a sleepy town, but it still makes for a nice stop. Corfe Castle, on the other hand, well, let's just say it depends when you get there. You can easily go one day and find yourself in the middle of a battle reenactment, or you can find it completely empty and all to yourself, where you're free to explore the entire ruins. So it's well worth a visit, Corfe Castle and Swanage as well. So let's travel a bit further along the Jurassic Coast, and we'll get to Durdle Door, which is a funny name, but the beauty of this place is absolutely no joke. When people think of the Jurassic Coast, it's this Durdle Door that usually comes to their mind. So yeah, it's quite a famous landmark. So Rocky and I went hiking at the cliffs of Durdle Door, and when you reach the top, you can look below and you can actually see the limestone arch, which is called the Durdle Door. And why is it called a door? Well, I didn't really pay any attention to the tour signs, but all I know is that it's awesome. It's super dog friendly, and you can't beat the views, and there's a beach. What else can you ask for, really, right? So now let's go back inland, but we're still in Dorset for a bit, and let's check out the mythical Cerne Abbas giant, located in a small village of the same name. And the Cerne Abbas giant is this huge and ancient naked figure on a hillside. And it's pretty cool. There's quite a few legends surrounding the giant. Some say it was the corpse of an actual giant, and others say that infertility can be cured if you, if you do it on top of the giant. So yeah, I don't know. But there's more to Cerne Abbas though than the giant. There's tons of beautiful scenery within the village, and we spent an entire day just exploring the village as well as the valley where the giant lies. Also, don't forget that in the UK it often rains, and when it rains in the countryside, you've got a lot of mud. So yeah, tons of mud. And I didn't bring any boots on this particular day, but Rocky didn't seem to mind at all. Needless to say, he did need a long bath after our adventure here. Now, we've seen quite a bit already of Dorset, but we're not done yet. Me and Rocky traveled over to see yet another famous landmark, Portland Bill. We went with another friend, our friend Paula. She's a local. When I first heard her talk to me about Portland, I said, "There's no way we're going to go to Oregon." Of course, I came to find out that Portland in the UK is a tide island, and the southernmost point of Dorset. It's considered a central part of the Jurassic Coast. So what is Portland Bill? Well, Portland Bill is actually a lighthouse, and it's a gorgeous one at that. Back in the 1980s, there was a children's show called Portland Bill, which featured many adventures on the lighthouse. Of course, I had no idea this show existed. It was just what Paula told me. And yeah, Rocky marked his territory here. Anyway, we went cliffside in Portland, and on this crazy rainy day, the waves hit us with the fury of a T-Rex. On another note, we saw tons of dogs here. If you do come here, please put your dog on a leash, as there's some really craggy cliffs everywhere, and it's quite easy to fall. And once you're done with that, guess what? There's tons of pubs around that you can go for a beer with your dog. So yeah, that's quite a few different towns in Dorset and the Jurassic Coast that we've already visited. And I think for now that's quite enough. The Jurassic Coast is huge, so there's still tons to see. But if you're coming here, feel free to check out the towns we just talked about: Bournemouth, Christchurch, Swanage, Old Harry's Rocks, Corfe Castle, Cerne Abbas, Durdle Door, and Portland. Thanks guys for listening and watching, and we hope you enjoyed it. Our vlog, or actually Rocky's vlog for the Jurassic Coast, is coming soon. So if you like the video, please subscribe and give us a like. And cheers.